secondary recording has started. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to use share. So at the bottom of the screen here, there's a share button. I click on that. And then I can choose of all of the things that I have up on my computer, I can choose which one I want. Now, we were just talking a moment ago before the video started about doing things on like a whiteboard type thing. And one of the options you have is a whiteboard. And so if you've got screen touching capabilities, screenwriting capabilities, you can use the whiteboard. Anyway, so I'm going to show you another function in Zoom. So I'm in my Zoom account, and settings, I think this is where this is. Is that where it is, Ann? I know, I did too. So there's all kinds of cool things that you can do through the settings. You can allow people to join before the host. You can use a personal meeting ID to schedule your meeting. Otherwise, when you schedule a meeting, it just assigns you a random ID. So you can use your personal ID to start. You can use your personal ID for an instant meeting. Password. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I do too. I use my phone number as my personal ID because they're 10-digit numbers. So they assign you a random one. Oh, that is funny. It doesn't look like it's in there. I'm going to look at, okay, so that's not it. I'm going to look at profile. So you can see there, personal meeting ID, that's my cell number. So that's what it generates. And then also you can do a personal link that you can customize that's easy for your students to remember. Yeah. Yeah. Sign in device. That's not it. Webinars, recordings. These are good settings to just kind of take a look at. This is where, now I have mine set up to automatically record every meeting because I was so bad about remembering to record. So now I just have it set up automatically, and I have mine recorded to the cloud rather than to my computer because I don't want to take up that space. And so what happens is if I click on, say, this recording, once I get out of a room, the recording stops. I automatically get links to download these recordings. And if I don't download them in 10 days or save them some way, then they just disappear from this list. And so I don't even have to worry about it. If I want it, it's there. If I don't want it, it's not there. If I meet with students, I can share a link to the recording. So here you can copy a shareable link, or I can download the files and share the file. What I do is copy the shareable link. I send it to the student and tell them that they can download it if they want anytime within the 10 days, if it's a personal individual meeting or conference. Yeah, oh, yeah, let me see. It might be here. Yeah. So, this also allows you can start the meetings with the host video on or not. I always start it with video off so that people get a chance to sort of do their hair before they get on. Required a password. I want to find the recording thing. Chat. Sound. Feedback. I'm looking for the display and the recording. Yeah, and this is interesting too. So there are these annotation tools. There's the whiteboard. So those are all good tools to use. Okay, this is something you definitely want to click. So you're going to click breakout room to allow you to put students in teams or groups to do group work. Yeah, and this is something I've never used this. I might start using it. I don't know. Allow the host to assign participants when scheduling, because usually I don't schedule the meeting. I just tell the students where and when it is. But this is something that is useful if you already know what groups you want when you break out, and I'll do a breakout in a minute. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here is another one, attention tracking. Lets the host see an indicator in the participant panel if a meeting or webinar attendee does not have Zoom in focus during screen sharing. So if they're on a different, yeah, so if they're in a different, if they're in a different place, you'll get a little thing. Let's see. Okay, waiting room. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah. So, yeah, and I we've talked about this before. I have mastered the meeting fake where I'm in a Zoom meeting staring at the screen and it looks like I'm wrapped with attention, and I'm actually, grading a student paper, answering email. So it's, they have those skills too. This choose which participants to place in the waiting room. I didn't use this the first couple of years I used Zoom, but I use it now so that everybody starts in the waiting room and I admit them one by one. And that has a lot of advantages, particularly when I'm doing individual conferences back to back. Okay. Email notification. I have pretty much all of these email notifications on scheduling. Okay. So it is not. Oh, look. Schedule a meeting. And oh, we had all of those. I just looked at that and it's just got basic information about how my account was set up. Schedule name a previous meeting. Let's go to personal meeting room and see if it's in there. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is the automatic reading. So if you go under meetings and personal meeting room, you can find it under meeting options. And the last one, record the meeting automatically in the cloud. And that's one of the options that you have. So if I want to edit these settings, I click it here. And then you can require a meeting password. There's really no need to. There aren't people clamoring to get into law school classes, believe it or not. Video. I do telephone and computer audio in case somebody can't join. They're having computer problems or whatever. And then you've got these options. You can enable the waiting room, whatever. You can also set up an alternative host. So if you've got somebody from your tech department or library who's going to help you with this, you can put their email in there and that'll work. But this is where you click record the meeting automatically in the cloud. So, I cannot find that thing that allows you. It's like Beauty Face on Samsung phones. Yeah, and it's super, super nice. Yeah, just softens you a little bit. Um, yeah. Higher, yeah. And shadow, you get shadow on your neck. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Um, this is a thing that we just learned about recently. If you want to take attendance, now we take attendance, all three of us, we take attendance with screenshots. Um, but you can also uh, click on the usage reports and get a report on um, who was in the meeting, and you can do attendance that way. And if you're going to have to submit an attendance report to a central administration, this might be a better way to go. I just use the screenshot and then I fill out the attendance report on Canvas. um, but this is another way to go anyway. So that's sort of the inter Woo! Okay. Um, okay, so I'm going to stop the share. You see down at the bottom, you've got the, whoops, I don't need that. Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I usually do, because frequently have, like my email screen up or whatever. And so what I'll do is before the meeting starts, I'll click on share to see what shows up in this window. Right, right. Well, especially since this is a yeah, since this is a home computer and other people may be using it, like I've got teenagers, there's no telling what's on the screen at any given time. Um, the other thing is, one of the things you can do is share, in addition to showing your internet screen, or you can show a document if you want to go over a document. So anything, you can share anything that you can put on your screen. You can put, yeah, PowerPoints you can do. Um, but if you're going to show something with sound or video, you got to make sure to click share computer sound. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to hear it. Yeah. And then optimize for full screen video clip helps with the clarity of what you're showing. It's going to be clear on the second video, not the first one. So the second video that's my screencast, you're going to be able to see this back end stuff is going to show. So it's not going to, yeah, it's not going to show on this one. So the back end. Yeah, this is a great opportunity, I think, to help students become proficient in using the stuff professionally. So here, I'll give you a couple of tips that I give students that you wouldn't think you'd have to say to people, but you do. And then Ann and Lynn, if you've got some. So I tell students, and usually I'll give them, actually, we have a list at Toro of online, like, student expectations. I add to that, you have to be sitting up in a chair. Right. Yeah, because they'll all do it in their beds with their laptop like that. So I tell them you have to be sitting up, preferably in a chair, but obviously you don't have to as long as you're sitting up. You have to be sitting up. You have to be dressed in clothes. I don't want to see you in pajamas. I don't want to see you in your underwear as outerwear. Right. Absolutely. Otherwise, no. No. I don't care what they eat. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, for guest spot, man, this is a boon. You know, because you can get people from any school, from any law firm, from any government office. As long as they've got the time and a computer, you've got a guest speaker. And so this really is a great opportunity since lots of people are working from home. Lawyers are working from home. Judges are probably going to start working from home. Lots of people are going to be working from home. And so, you know, we can do a lot of cross-pollination that way. So those are mine with clothing. I'm trying to think if there's the other thing that drives me insane is that I tell them no side conversations. If you need to have a side conversation with someone, then you need to stop your video. And so in the upper corner of your video panel, you can click on the 3 dots and click stop video. And now my video is stopped, but my audio is still going. So their audio would be stopped also because it is super distracting to watch somebody having a conversation with somebody either on or off screen. Yes, I tell them that's not, you know, if you couldn't do it in class, I tell them, please don't do it, you know, please don't do it here. Yeah, please don't do it here. Any other kind of tips that students might not think of without you telling them on sort of just decorum? Yeah. Yeah. And go ahead. I think it's a potential liability issue for the law school. Right. Yeah. My guess is that we're not going to have a lot of transit issues during this time. A lot of transit issues or a lot of public space issues. But yeah, but if you are but that's something you may note. If you do notice it, you might want to address it with students. Now, one of the things you can do to address these things with the students is you can open up your chat screen. So there's a chat button at the bottom, and so the default for this, or the default, as I say, is to send it to everyone. So you can send a chat message um, to everyone in the classroom, or, and those of you who are watching the screen, I'll probably just post the screencast version so that you can see all of this. If I just want to send something to one person, I can send something to one person. And they'll just get it privately. And so that way, you don't have to embarrass anybody. Be really careful about, what you're sending privately versus publicly. Um, I thought it was not embarrassing at all because it was about the shirtless guy in the committee meeting, and I think if you're going to show up shirtless to a law school committee meeting, you should expect people to be talking about you. Right, 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 right. Yeah. So that's the chat function. So I've shown you share, I've shown you chat. I have never used polls, but that's an option. If you have a student, I've used this sometimes. If you have a student who's having trouble getting into the room, can't figure it out, and they're emailing you or texting you, then you can send them. You click on that invite button, and on the screencast version of this video, you can see what comes up. So you can invite them by email, And so if I just send an email to them, or you can copy the URL or copy an invitation, but it sends them an email, and actually, yeah. So this opens up my Gmail, and it populates it with all of the information about the meeting. So yeah, so if they decide to dial in, then and do just the phone, which is an option, then yeah, you'll see a little box with the phone number, and so you'll need to ask them, who is, whatever, 516-669, and they'll tell you. What? Yeah, go ahead. Right. Mm-mm. It can, if they don't have adequate bandwidth. And so what I tell students who are, if they know they're having trouble, I tell them that we have different policies at Toro for snow days versus online classes. For snow day use, we're a little more flexible. We'll let them use a phone to do the video. We'll let them go to public space. We'll be a little bit more flexible about that stuff. But for a class that's when they sign up for it, they've signed up for an online class. They're expected to do it from a computer, to have some sort of backup. But for this is more like, now we have pandemic rules. And so one of the options I would give students is phone in. If you're having trouble, just use the call-in number. And if they can't find it, you can post it in the chat, or you can email it to them. But one thing that I found is really important is to make sure students understand, I can't be tech support during this class, and I may or may not have anybody to help me. Some professors have somebody who stands by because they're a little uncertain about how this works. But I tell them, I can't spend the class troubleshooting your issues, which is why you want them to come in early, about 15 minutes early, make sure everything's up and running. But sometimes I'll tell students, listen, it's being recorded. You're free to go, or you're free to dial in on the phone, but we can't spend any more time on this. So literally, I won't spend more than 30 seconds on a troubleshooting issue. Right. 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 Another thing I want to show everybody with regard to the screen, because there's been some talk about like what can you do in an online class. So two things I want to show you. The first one is up in the upper right hand corner. I have mine on speaker view right now, and there's a button next to that. Whoops. Sorry. If I click on that, then I get Yeah. Then I get the speaker view. What I had was the gallery view. The speaker view just puts whoever is, really it's just whoever's making the most noise right now, up on your screen, and then everybody else, on mine it's up above, sometimes it's off to the side. So you can change that, and then if you click on it again, it'll go to gallery view, where everybody has the same size little window. Go ahead, Lynn. So I like gallery view, but for what you're talking about, I actually like to have it on speaker view, because whoever's doing the speaking right then is the one whose face is front and center, and then I can still see everybody else across the top. So just be aware that there are those two options. And so, just choose whether you prefer to have everybody in the same size box or the speaker in a big box. Yeah, those are the two options. Yeah. So it's less like a tennis match and more like a snowball fight. I did. So I've recorded another video, a separate video with my phone that shows my physical setup, and I talk about what you can do with two monitors. I recommend teaching with two monitors because you can see everything. So yeah, so that's in that other short video. It's about 6 minutes long, and it'll. So I'm gonna, I'm not really sure. Um, for the Legal Writing Institute, I'm going to post it on the listserv. I'm probably also going to take these videos and post them on our faculty list. Yeah. The other thing is, I just talking about the videos that you produce. I What I do with mine, and you don't have to do this. You can take the videos, download them as MP4s, and then post them wherever. You can just post the link, and people can access them. What I do though, I download them as MP4s, and then I upload them to YouTube as as unlisted videos. And so it's important, if you don't want everybody in the world looking at them, that they're unlisted, so only people with the URL can do them. And so those videos are a little bit, I find that students have less trouble with them. They're easier for me to post. And so, for example, after this is done, I'll download it, I'll upload it to YouTube, and then post it. And then I don't have trouble with, is there enough, do people have enough memory in their email or whatever? It's just a link. And unlike the Zoom link, it doesn't expire after 10 days. So it's just there indefinitely. So I use YouTube for that. Okay, the other thing I want to show everybody is breakout rooms. So at the bottom of the screen, if you have to toggle the breakout room switch in the settings, and then once you toggle that and you click on it in the bottom of your screen, it pulls up a screen that says create breakout rooms, and it asks me, I've got 2 participants, how many rooms do I want, and do I want them to go automatically or manually? So if I want, to put them in 2 rooms, then I click create rooms, and it'll automatically create those rooms and assign people in them. So if I don't care who's in what room, I just want groups, then I can do it like that. If I don't want to do it like that and I want to do it manually instead, then it gives me an option for a breakout room, and then there's an assign button next to that, and I can assign people to the individual rooms. Again, if you're watching the Zoom generated video, you're not going to see this screen I'm talking about, but if you're watching the screencast video, you will see the screen. So what I'm going to do real fast is open all the rooms, and then Anne and yes. Yeah. The other thing, if you're going to do breakout rooms, you're going to tell students, don't worry. Things are going to pop up on your screen. It's all going to be clear. You're not going to get left behind. So I'm going to click open all rooms. And now Anne and Lynn are going to get an option to go into their breakout room. So if you guys would go into your breakout rooms for a second. You're going to be in 2 different rooms. Okay, so Anne's in hers, and now Lynn is in hers. Now on the Zoom recording, you don't see any of this because, or no, you do see me, but you don't see what happens in the breakout rooms. There's no way to look at all the breakout rooms at once, which is a little vexing to me. I've been asking for that feature for years. Like, can I sort of look at all of them at once? So I'm going to go. Right, yeah, absolutely. They can come. Back out. Okay. So I'm going to join Lynn's breakout room real fast. So it's taking me over to Lynn's breakout room. So now I'm in Lynn's breakout room. So if Lynn is talking with her team, then I can, sometimes I'll come in and just sit there for a second, but then usually okay, how are you guys doing? Give me an update. Lynn, how do you use the breakout rooms? Yeah. I've had things where I have assignments where students are divided into, say, plaintiff and defendant for like a trial brief, and I just need to talk to the plaintiffs. And so I love this because it's so much easier, because in a physical classroom, I've got to send the defendant somewhere. And here, yeah, they just stay there. Okay, so Lynn, I'm going to leave the room, and then I'm going to close the breakout rooms. Okay. So I'm returning to the main session, And then when I get there, I'm going to close the breakout rooms. Okay, so now I'm back in the main room. Anne has joined the main room. And now I'm going to close the breakout rooms. So I just click close all rooms. And then everybody gets a 1-minute warning that the room's about to close and they're going to be zapped back in. So Lynn got a warning that it was about to be closed, so she came back into the main room. Also, when they're in the rooms, using that same dialogue, you just click on breakout rooms, there's a broadcast all message option. So you can send messages to all of them. So for example, yeah, if somebody asks a question and you're like, oh, I bet everybody needs to know that answer, you can broadcast to everybody. Yeah, because the auto timer is just 1 minute always. Oh. Yeah. The other thing is, if you're setting the rooms up manually because you need certain people in certain teams, I don't close the rooms until the end of the class. So if I'm going to bring them all back and then send them back again, I don't want to have to recreate those rooms again. So I just minimize that dialogue window and go on from there. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. Um, yeah. So there's one last. Oh, the one thing that you also might want to tell the students is make sure that they don't have all that ambient light coming in, and also that it's not too dark because I don't know. I find it very depressing to see somebody sitting in a darkened room for. I hate that. Um, Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. I know. That's and I'm your friend. I'm sometimes awake. Okay, so the last feature I want to show you is the participant panel. So at the bottom, you can click Manage Participants, and you have several options. And so the screencast version of this video shows the listing of the people. It gives some options that you can show. Um, uh, they can show on the screen. So if I want to ask everybody a question, for particularly if I've got a large class, um, who agrees that this is the amount for damages, then they can all click. There's a yes button. There's also a thumbs up. And then these are some other ones. There's the need a break button, which if you've got a long class can be helpful. I always forget breaks. I always forget. Like I'm usually having a good time. So I've started doing that because I'm so bad about remembering. And then the other one is away. If they're going to go away, I have them click the away thing to, let me know what's going on, that they haven't just stopped. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing you can do, yeah, you can also make somebody the host. You can make them a co-host. You can put them in a waiting room. For conferences, if a student comes in early and I'm still conferencing another student, I'll admit the student into the room, and then when I'm sure they can hear me, it takes a second, I'll say, "Don't go anywhere. I'm going to put you in a waiting room so that the minute we're done with this conference, I can bring you back into the room." Whereas if they go somewhere, you may sit around waiting for them to come back. And so I tell them, "Hold on, I'll put you in a waiting room. I'll bring you right back." So those are some of the options there with managed participants. Also with the chat function, in addition to the chat itself, you can upload files through the chat function for everyone or just one student. It's pretty easy to do. I'm choosing a file here now, and I'm gonna upload it. Oh, well, for some reason it disconnected. Oh, no, there it is. It didn't. For some reason, it's not letting me do it right now. I don't know why, but there's a network issue. But it's simple to do, and if it doesn't work, you just keep trying. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes. So, Lynn, 5 minutes. Anything you didn't get to say that you think is helpful? So what happened is I accidentally closed the meeting. Mm. Mhm. I'll just piggyback on the meetings with students. I actually prefer now, and I tell students this, I'm happy to meet with you in person if that's what you prefer, but I prefer a Zoom conference. And the reason is I can put their document on the screen, I can go through it, put the comments on, because I do live critiquing, so I can put the comments on it as I go, just like I do in the office, but they can see it right in front of them instead of looking at the screen across my desk, and then they get a recording of it. And so, if they don't remember something I said or why I said it, they've got the recording and they can go back through it. So I think Zoom conferences are far superior. In addition, my students have requested, and I now do, Zoom office hours while I'm doing my regular office hours. So I have regular office hours where I sit in the library for 2 hours, but I also have my laptop open with Zoom going in case somebody wants to come in from Zoom, because sometimes some of them go home, especially the moms with kids who've got to get home at 3. They'll come in on Zoom, and so I'm just there for office hours. So, in 5 minutes, what are your... Okay. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, where you're gonna... Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, I do shorter. Like I'll take a team project or a team activity that may take 10 minutes or 15 minutes in the classroom, and I break it into smaller bits. And so I'll have them, okay, do this part, then come back and report. Now we'll go back and like that. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to stop the video.